this meeting of the Finance and Corporate Resources Committee held on 15th February 2023. I can see that we have present Councillor Allison, Councillor Brogan, Councillor Matthew Buchanan, Councillor Carmichael. Do we have Councillor Chalmers? No. I can see that we have Councillor Cooper, Councillor Cowan, Councillor Devlin, Councillor Dewar. I have apologies from Councillor Donnelly. Do we have Councillor Fagan?
No.
No. I can see that we have Councillor Ferguson Miller, Councillor Handybode. Do we have Councillor Horn? Yeah, I can see that he has now joined us. Do we have Councillor Hose?
He's on
maternity leave. Okay, we have Councillor Loudon, Councillor MacDonald, Councillor McClymont, Councillor Leslie MacDonald, Councillor McDougall, Councillor McGeever, Councillor Nelson, Councillor Razak. I have apologies from Councillor Ross, and we have Councillor Salamati substituting, and we also have Councillor Scott present. I can see that we have Councillor Locker in the room. Councillor Locker, are you here to substitute for Councillor Hose? Sorry, I've got Councillor Nelson.
Yep.
Yes, Councillor Lockett is substituting for Councillor Hose. I think it would just be remiss of us just to not to congratulate Councillor Martin Hose on the birth of his new baby daughter.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. And we also have a number of officers present today. I'll hand back to yourself, Chair.
Thank you. Do we have any declarations of interest? None in the room and none online. Okay, minutes of previous meeting held on the 16th of November. That's pages 5 to 12 in your pack. Can these be approved as a correct record? Agreed. Thank you. Minutes of appeals panel held on the 23rd of November and the 21st of December 2022, pages 13 to 16. Can these be approved as a correct record, please?
I'll second that.
Thank you. We have, moving on, Revenue Budget Monitoring 2022-23, pages 17 to 26. Jackie, please.
Sorry, Chair. Councillor Miller had his hand up for the previous minute.
All right. Sorry, Councillor Miller. Yep.
No problem. Thanks very much, Chair. Thanks, Carol. In the minute, at page 7, the item 8, the council-wide workforce monitoring, the Head of Personnel Services advised there would be a further discussion at Equal Opportunities and a report would be brought to a future meeting. Can I ask when the proposed report will be made available?
Okay, please.
Thank you, Chair. That discussion is still to happen in full at the Equal Opportunities Forum, so I wouldn't want to commit to a date without having that within the work plan and knowing when it be concluded. Thanks, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, Jackie.
Thank you, Chair. So this is agenda item 4, which is the revenue budget monitoring for this year, taking us up to the 29th of December. The report follows the same format as previous reports. However, at section 5, I would highlight that we have now concluded our probable outturn exercise across all of our services. This is the exercise where we do a forecast for the year end, and we're reporting for finance and corporate resources a break-even position. As always, the appendices give information on the resource-wide position at Appendix A, and then the subsequent appendices B through to H give the information on the individual services for the resource. I can also highlight in the appendices we've now populated within the greyed out section of the table the forecast for the year reflecting our probable outturn position. So in terms of recommendations, we're asking that positions noted. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Jackie. Any questions? Councillor MacDonald. Councillor MacDonald.
Thanks, Chair. Just a quick point of clarification I'm looking for, Jackie, if possible. Can you give us what the current value of the underspend in employee costs is? Thanks.
Yeah, of course. In Appendix A, you can see the position for the whole resource. I'm just finding it myself. And you can see there that as at the 29th of December, we're reporting a £248,000 underspend. So that's across all of our services. Each individual service you can see on the subsequent appendices for your information. That's on the third from the right column in the tables. You can see the variances there. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? No. Can we agree the recommendations on page 17?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Next item is capital budget monitoring 2022-2023, and that's pages 27 to 30 in your pack. Again, Jackie, please.
Thanks, Chair. So for the same time period up to the 29th of December 2022, this is now our capital budget monitoring. And section 3 of the report covers that we have a budget of just under 3.7 million for the resource, and there's been no change to that since the last committee. Again, on page 28, we touch on our outturn exercise. So this is our predictions for our year-end position. And we are reporting that we expect an overspend of just over £700,000 by the end of the year. But that relates to timing of spend on our project to update our HR and financial systems, which is the Oracle Fusion project that's mentioned there. That overspend only reflects timing. We have budget to cover the whole project that spans 2 years, and we'll meet that extra costs from the overall budget for that project. You can see at section 5.3, the position on spend to the 29th of December is a spend of £2.8 million. The appendix on page 30 shows the summary of information around our original budget to date and actual spend. And again, we're asking that this position's noted. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Jackie. Councillor McDougall, please.
Hi there. Question about the page 28. So at 7.1, there's mention of detailed project management plans and the potential risk of overspend on each project being monitored through 4 weekly meetings. And also at 7.2, it's noted and I think understood by everyone, the inflationary price increases that we're all aware of and shortages of materials. So on the projects and delivery with project plans, is the danger or the risk, where does the risk arise? Is it where POs or contracts have not yet been signed, or, you know, for third parties, or where would that be arising? Thank you.
In relation to the Finance and Corporate Resources capital programme, you're absolutely right. The risk would be in any project that we hadn't yet signed a contract for, or where there was a risk that any supplies that we were awaiting, there would be difficulty in getting those, or that prices would change. What I can report is for the projects that we have in our budget just now, we're confident that the money that we have will be able to cover the costs of those projects. So whilst that's noted as a risk, that risk is managed just now, and I wouldn't be highlighting any concerns around that for our programme. Thanks.
Thank you. There's no other questions in the room or online. Can we agree the recommendations on page 27, please?
I'll second the report.
Thank you. Agenda item 6, Finance and Corporate Resources, Workforce Monitoring, September to November 2022, and that's pages 31 to 38 in your pack. Kay McVeigh, please.
Thank you, Chair. And this is our regular workforce monitoring report. This one just for finance and corporate resources over the period, as you say, September to November. So looking at the content of the report, in terms of the monitoring statistics, the absence rates are detailed at 4.1. So the resource absence rate for November, which was the most recent month within that quarter, was 3.4%. And that's giving us a projected absence rate of 3.6% for that financial year. As you can see within the report, just at the last paragraph at 4.1, the COVID-related sickness absence across the whole council is quite reduced within that single period. In terms of occupational health at 4.2, in relation to the absences that we have carried out some occupational health referrals, and there were 61 made within Finance and Corporate Resources over that period. We did, very unusually for Finance and Corporate Resources, have one minor accident, so we're reporting that within this particular paper. And there's nothing else really of note within the Finance and Corporate Resources element of workforce monitoring, so I'm asking the committee to note the employment information within the report. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Kay. Any comments or questions? Councillor Allison.
Yeah, Chair, just in the manual workers, Kay, they obviously seem to have a very healthy lot in the last 18 months. What's changed?
We actually no longer have any manual workers within Finance and Corporate Resources. We inherited a small group, and they are then no longer in a Finance and Corporate Resources category.
Okay. No questions from within the room or online. Can we agree the recommendations on page 31?
I'll second the report.
Thank you. Agenda item 7, council-wide workforce monitoring, September to November 2022. There's pages 39 to 60. Kay, please.
Thank you, Chair, and covering the same period, but this time covering the whole of the council. So in terms of the workforce monitoring data, at section 4 we go through the attendance statistics, and you can see that the council's absence rate for November being 6.5%, and that's given us a projected figure of 6% for the year. Obviously, it is down nearly 0.5% in comparison with November the previous year, but people will be very familiar about the state of the nation at the tail end before Christmas. So unsurprisingly, although psychological and musculoskeletal conditions remain our main reasons for absence, probably in terms of the makeup of absence in November as a month, we did see a big reduction in respiratory, and that's because we were comparing it against a month where there was a high volume of COVID absences in the previous year. We may see a little swing again come December and January, as folk will be familiar with some of the respiratory illnesses that made an appearance over that period. As you would expect, a lot of activity around about occupational health. There's just shy of 400 employees being referred for a medical examination, and just over 500 attending for physio, and 540 being referred to the employee support officer. So you can see activity very much relating to the two main reasons for absence. In terms of accidents and incidents across the whole council, then we had 591 over the period, and that has increased by 158 in comparison with the same period last year. As you'll see, the bulk of that is within the minor accidents and incidents over the period. I think in this report, I would draw your attention to what has been a continuing trend round about labour turnover. So over the period, 1.4% in terms of labour turnover, giving us a projected figure of 5.4%. And if you think about years gone by, that's an increase in considering where we have been previously. Conversely, we continue to try to recruit, and like many, we're struggling to recruit in some of our key areas. We did have over 2,800 applications. 85 applicants were disabled over that period, 43 of those being shortlisted for interview and 10 being appointed. We had 179 applicants from a black or ethnic minority background, 49 of those shortlisted for interview and 11 being appointed. And probably disappointingly, we did have 40 veterans applying, 28 of them were shortlisted for interview, and unfortunately none were appointed on this occasion. Again, asking the committee to note the employment information in the report, and happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Kay. Councillor Ferguson-Miller, please.
Thanks very much, Chair. I think everybody knows what my question is going to be. It's on the veterans, and 40 applications, 28, and none were appointed. Yet again, it's been a pattern, and I think this just strengthens the requirement for the investigation report on how we're going to address this.
Okay.
Thanks, Chair.
Thank you.
Question, Councillor Ferguson Miller, and I have done a bit of digging into those that were interviewed and therefore not successful after that. In terms of those who came forward for interview, nearly half of those, or just over half of those, either did not attend interview or withdrew. So they either didn't contact us and didn't come, or they withdrew prior to interview. So that is we need to get in amongst why that is the case. So we're doing a little bit more digging with those individuals. It's obviously quite hard to get hold of people who maybe haven't got in touch with us to try and find out why they withdrew. The other issue that we've seen in looking at the numbers is our system counts applicants for posts, but it doesn't reduce for multiple post applicants. So there are a handful in here who've applied for more than one post and maybe been unsuccessful, or on one occasion here somebody who withdrew and therefore appears 3 times as an unsuccessful through interview. So we'll have a bit more analysis round about this and see if we can bring something a bit more useful either back to the Equal Opportunities Forum or through to this committee. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Kay. Geraldine, please.
Thank you, Chair. This is just something I thought might be of interest. The Lanarkshire Firm Base meeting was held last week and veterans' employment was discussed at that too. And it seems to be across the board that there is an issue. North Lanarkshire are experiencing similar issues. So there is going to be a special meeting of a small working group of Lanarkshire Firm Base later in the year in April. Skills Development Scotland and all the veterans charities are going to be involved at that too, to see what more work they can all do to inform veterans and to assist them to perform better at interview.
Thank you. Kay, you want back? No. There's no more questions either in the room or online. Can I ask that we agree the recommendations on page 39, please?
I'll second those recommendations.
Thank you. Agenda item 8, Treasury Management Activity, third quarter review, pages 61 to 68. Back to you again, Jackie. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. So this is our normal Treasury Management Activity report, this time for the third quarter, taking us to December, end of December last year. Usual format for the report, picking up at section 4, the news that the base rate was increased to 4% earlier this month. Section 5 covers the Council's debt position, with Table 1 showing the level of debt that we hold, and new borrowing is highlighted at Table 2, and that's there for your information. The remainder of the report focuses primarily on how we deposit our funds. Section 6 covers our investment activity and refers to our annual investment strategy, which was approved at Council last February. And that's the document that details where we're permitted to invest the Council's money. Prior to depositing any funds, we always check with our Treasury advisor that institution is considered safe. And I'll come on to more on that in a second. So in terms of our investments, as you know, our deposits of cash make up the sum total of what we call investments. And our deposits are made in the bodies that are detailed at Table 3. So the majority of our funds are deposited in the government's deposit facility, in other local authorities who are looking for cash, and in 3 high street banks that are detailed there. And Section 7 continues the topic of our deposits on the management of risk and refers to how we check credit ratings with the 3 main rating agencies for any institution that we will deposit our money with. And tables 4 to 6 on page 64 show those credit ratings of the facilities that we use. And we're reporting at the bottom of page 64 that over 91% of our deposits are made with very high credit quality institutions, and that's effectively the UK government and other local authorities. Section 9 of the report covers our Treasury management indicators that we're required to report on, and they include limits that we have for external debt, for how long we hold debt for, and these are both within the levels that we have set. So in terms of the recommendations, we're asking that this position's noted. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Jackie. Any comments or questions? I've got none in the room or online. Can we agree the report?
I'll second the report, Chair.
Thank you. Agenda item 9, revenue collection and approval for write-offs, pages 69 to 74. Craig, please.
Thank you, Chair. This is the usual report covering revenue collection and seeking approval for write-offs. It covers the period to the 31st of December. Gives an update as well in relation to position on the business rates incentivisation scheme. Section 4 details current performance with further information provided within Appendix 1 to the report. In terms of the main highlights, the position for council tax is reporting as ahead of target by 0.09%. In relation to non-domestic rates, ahead of target by 0.1%. In relation to sundry debt, we're marginally behind there at 0.2%. Section 5 covers a position in respect of arrears collection, again with Appendix 1 providing more information. Council tax ahead of target by 2.4%, non-domestic rates also ahead of target, and sundry debt marginally behind by 0.2%. In terms of the business rates incentivisation scheme, confirm there's no further update on that scheme in terms of its reinstatement for 2022-23, and we're still awaiting further information from the Scottish Government in respect of future years. Section 7 of the report provides the details in respect to proposals for write-offs, covering the usual income streams, and again Appendix 2 provides more information in respect to the write-offs proposed in relation to sundry debt. I refer committee back to the recommendations that the performance in respect of revenue is noted, the current position in respect to the incentivisation scheme is noted, and the write-offs at point 3 are approved by committee. Thank you.
Thank you. Any comments or questions? I've got none in the room and none online. Can we agree the report?
I'll second the report, Chair.
Thank you. Item 10, non-domestic rates empty property relief policy, pages 75 to 84 in your pack. Craig, please.
Thank you, Chair. This report advises committee of the devolution of non-domestic rates empty property relief from the Scottish Government to councils and seeks approval for the policy to apply from the 1st of April 2023. In terms of background for committee, empty property relief for EPR operates at a national level, and that provides certain rates reliefs on unoccupied non-domestic properties. It's currently mandatory and fully funded by the Scottish Government. In 2021-22, the Programme for Government confirmed the devolution of EPR was delivered by April 2023 to allow councils to tailor support to meet local needs. That in effect means that EPR reliefs and exemptions will no longer be covered by the legislation. It therefore falls on councils to have an appropriate EPR policy in place from April 2023, as legislation currently governing that lapses at the end of this financial year. A total of £105 million is provided by Scottish Government to devolve the funding across local authorities. Our allocation from that for the financial year coming is just over £2 million. It will be for councils to decide how they use this funding and also the reliefs and exemptions that may apply under the local scheme. But any changes to the reliefs and exemptions provided which causes costs more than the funding will have to then be met by the council. Section 4 updates on the current position in respect of EPR. So entitlement and the rate at which it applies is dependent upon different factors relating to the rate payer and or the property type. And the bullets here at 4.1 give the current criteria for awarding EPR. And in table 1 there under section 4.2, that just details the breakdown of EPR of 1.5 million for financial year 21-22. In terms of proposal for committee's consideration today, that's covered within section 5. So devolution of EPR does come at a time of change within the major revaluation of rateable values from April 23, and also, as you're aware, a time of major volatility in the economy with obviously financial uncertainty facing many businesses. So in effect, maintaining the current provision would provide some stability and certainty for businesses and also for the Council during these challenging times. Also provides an adequate period to assess the benefits of any future amendments to the Council's proposed policy. So it's recommended the policy from April 23 reflects the change in legislation covering EPR, and if the current policy should be amended to reflect this. The policy is attached to Appendix 1, and this in effect reflects the criteria listed in 4.1 in the report. It also recognises that the funding provided is based upon the current EPR rules and regulations. There's also a commitment to come back to committee by March 24 with a review of that policy, and that will consider potential changes that could be made and their implications, with input obviously sought from economic development. In terms of the financial implications, we mentioned already the funding of just over 2.1 million. That's per annum for the next 3 years. That's expected to be sufficient to meet the costs based on the current forecast for 2022-23. I draw attention to the point that the Scottish Government recognises that some exceptional economic events may impact on the number of non-domestic properties in the area, and these cannot be predicted. So where there is an exceptional economic shock, there's a substantial unmanageable impact on an area in respect of a change in empty non-domestic properties having an effect on the settlement. It's expected that councils in COSLA would raise this for discussion with the Scottish Government in the first instance. And off the back of that, Section 9, in terms of the risks, the devolution of APR effectively transfers the risks of additional costs arising from increases in the value of relief from Scottish Government to local authorities. I refer committee back to the recommendations that the background to devolution of EPR and also the funding arrangements as set in the report be noted. The EPR policy adopted by the Council from the 1st of April, as in Section 5, be endorsed and referred to the Executive Committee for approval, and that the policy be reviewed and presented back to this committee by March 2024. Thank you, Chair, and I'll take any questions.
Thanks, Craig. Councillor Ferguson, please.
Thank you, Chair. Just, give me a second, sorry. Just a quick question. With regards on page 77 for the non-domestic rates of the empty property relief policy, does this mean that there's an opportunity for some more money from the Scottish Government for East Kilbride Town Centre and all of the empty properties? And how does this affect, and what effect does this have on the town?
Craig?
So, in effect, the proposals put before committee would see empty property relief being continued provided on the same basis as was done previously under the national legislation. In relation to individual town centre impacts, that is one where effectively there is a level of risk that then is carried forward by councils from the 1st of April. And I think that really is why Scottish Government have indicated that if there are unmanageable economic impacts, then that is something we in effect will be taking up through COSLA and Scottish Government for further discussion if we couldn't manage the financial implications of anything that happened in respect of specific town centre developments.
Councillor Ferguson, do you want a supplementary? Okay.
No, that's great. No, thank you very much.
No?
Thanks for that.
Thank you. Another comment? There's nobody in the room or online wishing to speak. Can we agree this report?
I'll second the report, Chair.
Thank you. Items 11 and 12 are basically for noting, which and I would intend that we accept these unless anyone has any questions on either of the items. No.
I'll second that, Chair.
Okay, thank you. I have no urgent business and would like to thank everyone for their time today. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Well done, Chair.
Paul. I get a coconut? 35 minutes.